What the fuck, man? That's the first time I've ever seen somebody wheelie a fucking scooter.
Well guys, I ended up buying another Prebug. So this one is a 1990 in the gray and blue colorway. This year they had the red and gray, they had the blue and gray, and then they had the black and yellow, which is one of my favorite color combos of all time. But I honestly do feel like this blue and gray is like the hardest color to find for this year. I do see a bunch of the red and grays, but I very rarely see the blue and grays. I actually saw red and gray last year at that Vintage Motorcycle Days. Somebody wanted 900 bucks for it, but it was pretty beat up, so I didn't end up buying it. So I am pretty stoked about this purchase. This definitely is a cool color to get. Like I said, I'd rather have the black and yellow just because that 50th anniversary one is, you know, yellow seat cover and everything. It's pretty cool, but I'm definitely happy with this thing. I think it's pretty cool, and it's definitely a very uncommon color. Now this is pretty much exactly how I bought the bike. I wanted to leave it stock for you guys before I started, you know, doing anything. I wanted to make a video about it just so you guys can kind of see what I ended up buying. The only two things that I added was this little peg right here, and that's for our paddock stand, and then I threw this mirror on just for the road, just because I don't really like not running a mirror on the bike. So this thing definitely isn't perfect. This panel right here is falling off. It's held on with Velcro. I'm not going to take it completely off right now because it's a little finicky to get back on, but that's broken. You know, most of the panels have cracks here and there. You can see right here there's a crack. This top piece is pretty messed up, and both the mounting holes for the gauge cluster aren't in here anymore. So if you guys have one of these in this blue, please let me know. I will buy it off you. I want to find one of these that is pretty nice, because this one I'm going to try to fix it a little bit, but I think it's a little bit beyond repair in terms of being able to mount the gauge cluster in there. So if you guys have one of those, definitely let me know. We have some drift stitches right here holding this thing together. It was definitely a wheelie bike, whoever had it before, because we have some scrapes on the back of the rack here, and then definitely dragging that fender a little bit. But overall, I think it's just good enough that it's pretty much exactly what I wanted. I do really want like a absolute perfect showroom condition Zuma at some point, but I'm realistically not going to ride one if I find one like that. So I think this was a good combo, because the biggest reason why I bought this is because it had a now, if any of my viewers were from New York, you know it's basically impossible to get a title for something if it doesn't already have one, or transferable registration. That's actually what this had. These 50cc's, a lot of times they have transferable registrations instead of it. But this one did have a transferable reg, so I was able to put it on the road. My blue one just has a bill of sale. So unfortunately in New York I can't put it on the road. There's other little ways you can do stuff to get around it, but it's definitely hard to do and not too common. So I wanted to just skip all that and just find a bike that either had a transferable registration or a title. So I'll show you guys under the seat here. There is a little bit of some weird stuff going on. We have a screw for the seat latch, and then the hinge is kind of hodgepodge together. This also isn't the original seat cover for this. It looks like somebody put a bigger seat cover on here and stapled it down. But I do like this. Looks like it's still one of the later Zumas. I mean, it's still a Zuma seat cover, obviously, but I like the Yamaha logo on there. Not perfectly straight, but I definitely think it does look better than some of the other seat covers you can just throw on there for cheap. So it definitely still has that factory look. Oil injection does work. I have been running that, and it is working. We are going to have to top that off soon, though. It does have the slim gas tank and the slim double seat. From my understanding, I think the 1990 is the only year that has this slim double seat. So it's kind of like in between the later year Zumas, where they have the taller double seat with a bigger gas tank. This still utilizes the same gas tank that the 89 has, while having the same height seat, but just that little extra back section. Electric start also does work. Kickstart works too. We'll start up the kickstart quick. Choke works, everything like that. So it definitely is a complete functioning bike for the most part. See, starts up great. We'll start it with the electric start quick. Starts up great. All the gauges work, all the lights work, everything, you know, everything's functional. So I'm gonna hop on the bike. We'll do a little moto vlog thing here. I'll just kind of go through my plans with this bike and what to expect to see with it on the channel. So I ended up buying this bike for 1,500 bucks. For some of you that might sound kind of expensive, and to others that might sound super cheap. For reference, my first Zuma cost $70. That thing was definitely a lot worse condition than this. And the second Zuma I bought was $730. I would say that was close to the same condition as this, maybe a little bit worse. The panels weren't as cracked, but the frame was definitely bent. No turn signals. The turn signals didn't work. It had some other little issues like that. But the biggest difference between this and the second one that I bought is this had a title and the other one didn't. So in my opinion, at least for in New York, I think having an actual title for these bikes brings somewhere between $300 and $500 extra, because if you don't have one, you just really can't do anything with the bike. Luckily, I didn't care about having a title for the off-road build, because I was only really going to ride it off-road, so that kind of helped me when buying that, because, you know, I didn't have to pay a bunch for that to get one with a title. But for this one, I wanted to be able to ride it on road. I kind of wanted a second bike that somebody else could hop on if, you know, I go ride my 89. Maybe we want to go to dinner, ride along the lake over here. You know, just have an extra bike that somebody can hop on that's not a, you know, another full-size bike. It's just kind of fun to mess around on the scooter sometimes. So I think altogether, what I paid for this was a tiny bit high for myself, but in grand scheme of things, with the cost that the Zumas have been recently, I think 1,500 bucks is honestly pretty good, especially for a 1990, because this is a more rare year. Now this thing does have a little over 4,000 miles on it, so, you know, it is what it is there. It definitely looks like it has more miles on it than it actually does, just because obviously whoever owned this before definitely was wheeling this thing around, dropped it a few times. You know, it's got some scrapes and scratches here and there, but nothing I'm too concerned about, especially, like, it doesn't make me feel bad about riding on it and wheeling it a little bit and stuff. So like I said, in that term, it kind of worked out a little bit. Now, my plan with this bike is going to be pretty much leave it stock. I wanted a stock Zuma because all my other ones are so modded. It's just hard when I need to make products for stuff, and to have like a good stock reference for everything. And I kind of just, you know, it's more fun just to have one. My blue one, when it was stock, was actually pretty fun, and I did all that off-road stuff to it. So now, yes, it is better off-road, but as just being a Zuma, it doesn't feel as great right now, I'll be honest. The motor is a little sluggish for all the weight that we added, so we are going to have to build the motor on that at some point. But this one, I just want to leave stock. I want to leave the 50cc in it. The only thing that we're going to do that's kind of going to help us a little bit is going to be doing some CVT stuff. Now, I really haven't ridden a fully stock Zuma on the road at all. For how much that I'm into Zumas and have the whole business, that might sound kind of weird to some people, but my 89, we built that right off the gate. We didn't even get it running with the stock motor or anything like that before we built the motor. So I never rode that on the road stock. And the second one I just bought, we rode that a little bit on the road, but I didn't have, you know, the whole gauge cluster working and all that, so I couldn't really see like the top speed. And that thing feels, the motor feels a little more sluggish, or I think maybe the belt might be worn in there too, because it's definitely not hitting as high of speeds as this is. Now, I'm pretty surprised. This thing hits 35 easy, and actually, like, I'm cruising here, we're on a relatively flat road, we're getting almost to 40, so I'd say that's close, probably like 37, 38 right there. So I think that's pretty good for a stock 50cc. Now, we're gonna do a CVT kit in here, so I got the high-speed Polini variator kit, so it comes with the variator, the belt, contra spring, and then I do have a different clutch and clutch bell that we might put in here too. I'm hoping that gives us a few extra miles an hour, because we kind of live out here in the country, and all of the roads out here are minimum 45. Most of everything is like 55, so that's why I don't really have a stock Zuma to ride on the road, because it's not realistic for out here where we live. It's honestly a little dangerous because you got people going over, you know, 5-10 miles an hour over the speed limit, and you're sitting here, you know, struggling to hit 40. So it is a little dangerous, but when on days like this, when there's not a lot of traffic. It is fun. And even, you know, over closer by the lake, we live by Lake Erie, so it's nice over there. All the speed limits are like 35 over there, and it's a nice little spot to cruise. But I will say everything feels good on this, suspension and brake wise. The acceleration feels pretty good too. Tires are a little lacking. I believe these are the OEM tires on here, so as much as I like the look of those, I think we might have to swap those out because I noticed they are a little slippery on the road. Now, cosmetically, we aren't really going to change this bike at all. The only thing we're going to do is headlights, I think. I kind of like the look of the stock headlights in here, but they definitely are terrible at night. I can't see anything with these stock headlights, so I think we'll do a comparison video between my headlights that I sell and these stock headlights, because I still don't really have a comparison video so people can see the difference. And I think we're also going to do a cup holder and a fanny pack on here. I'm not going to do any underseat storage because we're going to keep the oil injection on that. So I think the cup holder and the fanny pack will be just enough to add some storage to these bikes, because as you guys know, these Zumas don't really have any storage out of the gate. The only thing that they have sometimes is the little tool cubby thing that goes under that cover in there, and 99% of the time that thing is gone. You can see here I'm pretty flat, and this thing, it gets to 35 pretty quick, and then it starts slowing down. It just barely hits that like 36, 37 mark. So definitely I'm hoping a CVT will increase the speed of this a little bit. Thing wheelies no problem, like any other stock Zuma. So no issues there with that. Obviously whoever had it before was doing some wheelies and getting pretty far back with that. So it is nice just to have a bike that is completely stock and, you know, not have to worry about it starting or overheating, or like, it's a little stressful riding the other ones just because there is so much that can go wrong with it. And I think the Baja Bug is really going to be the worst with that once I build the motor, because now I'm going to have all the suspension to worry about and the motor stuff to worry. The 89 is kind of bad too, because not only do I have to worry about the motor having issues, which I am having right now, and we'll do a video on that, kind of me explaining what's going wrong with that, but the 89, I have issues with the motor sometimes. I have issues with my headlights and the tail light. I know a lot of you guys always ask me to sell that stuff, and it honestly is just not ready. It would be dangerous on the road, and I definitely wouldn't feel comfortable selling that stuff, because every once in a while I do have issues where the taillight won't work, or it'll be hitting the brake when I'm not actually hitting the brake, or hitting the turn signals, or flashing blue, which is, you know, you pass a cop when that taillight is flashing red and blue, you're getting pulled over. So I definitely don't want to sell any of that stuff yet. I'm not like working on it right now, but I do have some ideas for a way that I can kind of simplify that tail light. It definitely is not going to have as much functionality, but it'll be 100 times more reliable. It's just kind of more an analog version of what I have, so it looks similar, but just a little more tried and true method of making all that work. I am still pretty new to coding, so when it comes to doing all the animations for the headlights and the taillights, I can figure out what I can on there, but it's definitely tricky sometimes because I don't have much experience in that realm of coding. So it's a lot of just watching YouTube videos and trying to figure that stuff out and reading different things here and there. If I had ChatGPT when I was trying to figure out that taillight, it probably would have been a lot easier. I haven't used that much yet for coding, but I do hear people say it's pretty intelligent with doing that and trying to help you figure out different stuff when you're coding. So maybe we'll give that a try, and we'll try to do some more stuff with the taillight in the future. But for now, I'm just gonna leave it as is. It is working pretty good. This thing is pretty fun on these little back roads, even for just being the 50. I mean, you can still have a lot of fun with these things. So The other thing that I have noticed is that I thought that my 89 ate up a bunch of gas because of the 70cc kit. This thing is almost at a half a tank. We're at like 3/4 of a tank right now, and I gotta say, I just filled this up. So this thing eats gas almost as fast as my 89 with the fully built 70 on it, which is pretty insane to me. And I do think it's a byproduct of having that really small tank too. I know the Zumas with the bigger double tank definitely last a little longer, obviously, because you have more fuel capacity. But I was just really surprised at how fast this thing is eating gas. So we're definitely gonna have to stick a cup holder on here, and then I'll probably just bring a fuel bottle with me all the time. It's just nice having it in the back of your mind that you do have a fuel bottle or some way to fill up on here, because, you know, especially out by me, you run out of gas, it's a long way till a gas station if you're walking your bike. Whereas if you're in the city, you know, you go around the block and there's normally a gas station right there. So see, these roads are perfect for this thing. Speed limit right in this little spot is 10 to 15 miles an hour, and we're hitting it at 30, 35 on a scooter. It's pretty good.
Bro, what the fuck, man? That's the first time I've ever seen somebody wheelie a fucking scooter. Right?
Oh, this thing wheelies all day.
That's fucking awesome, dude. Hell yeah.
Yep. Yo, go check out ZUMIN Zuma on YouTube or Instagram.
Zoom that too?
Yep.
Oh yeah, I got you, dude.
Well, let's see if this thing can make it up this hill up here. This road's pretty steep, so this thing's fun on the full-size bikes, but I have a feeling we're probably going to drop down to like 20 miles an hour on this thing trying to get up this hill. Oh, she's just struggling. I'm pinned. We're down to 30. Down to 25. Oh, we're getting up there. Giving it all she has. She made it. Alright guys, that is pretty much going to do it for today's video. Like I said, if there's any content that you guys want to see or anything that you guys want to see on any of the 3 Zumas, please let me know, because I do want to make content that you guys will actually enjoy. We are going to do some more videos on this thing, so stay tuned for that, and I'll catch you guys in the next one.